Old Testament lesson today is Psalm 119, verses 1 through 8. I'll be reading from the New International Version. Blessed are those who are blameless, who walk according to the law of the Lord. Blessed are those who keep his statutes and seek him with all their heart. They do no wrong, but follow his ways. You have laid down precepts that are to be fully obeyed. Oh, that my ways were steadfast in obeying your decrees. Then I would not be put to shame when I consider all your commands. I will praise you with an upright heart as I learn your righteous law. I will obey your decrees. Do not utterly forsake me.
The next scripture reading comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 1 through 9. So, brothers and sisters, I could not speak to you as spiritual people, but rather as people of the flesh, as infants in Christ. I fed you with milk, not solid food, for you were not ready for solid food. Even now you are still not ready, for you are still of the flesh. For as long as there is jealousy and quarreling among you, you are not of the flesh, and behaving according to human inclination. For when one says, I belong to Paul, and another, I belong to Apollos, are you not merely human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? A servant through whom you came to believe as the Lord assigned to eat. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither the one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. The one who plants and the one who waters have a common purpose. And each will receive wages according to their labor of each. For we are God's servants. Working together, you are God's field and God's building. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So last Sunday I took a plunge and started preaching without notes. So this time I upgraded my technology and got a piece of device. So we'll see. I'm a traditional, so I still have my notes just in case something catastrophic happens, like me not being able to open it. But there we go. So now we can work and I can preach from a tablet. So first of all, I figured preaching on kind of the subject that Paul talks about and comparing faith to that of a baby was extremely appropriate for a pastor who welcomed a new baby into the fold this past December. And no, just for the record, she is not the second coming of Jesus Christ, even though she was born in December. And I'm sure many of us might think of her that way. I do, but not quite that high yet. So, for those of you who have had babies or had any kind of experience with them, I'm sure you've got some kind of memories ingrained on your brain. Some might be fond, and some might have been pushed to the darker recesses of our memory. For instance, those nights where the baby's just inconsolable. They're sick, they're crying, you can't get them to sleep no matter how much you rock them or sing into their ear or talk to them and tell them it's okay, you can go to sleep. Or that time where you smell the stinkiest diaper ever to be made this side of the Mississippi. The memories that just are burned into your brain in regards to babies. Or those fond times where we see them crack their first smile. Or recognize your face and respond again with a smile or the little chuckle that they give you. Or that time where they realize they have these little hands or finger thingies attached to their arm and they can control them and move them in all sorts of different ways. Either way, babies are special. And so that's kind of the trajectory for my sermon today, and I feel that it's very similar to our spiritual and faith journey, which is essentially one of Paul's main angles he seems to be getting at with his comparisons. You see, at some point in time, we all started off as an infant, a newborn in regards to our own faith, and as just baby humans in general. Now, some of us might not know the difference between Adam and Eve, or maybe we've never heard of Moses, or who he is, or what the Ten Commandments are, and how they kind of should impact our faith and our life. Now, some of us still might not know those answers, and that's perfectly fine too. We all have to start somewhere. And the point is, we all start at the beginning in regards to our faith. Some of us being younger, and some of us perhaps joining along on this journey later on in your own life. Either way, depending on how we start or where we grow and go, and how we mature and sustain this faith, varies greatly, depending on our personality and our living environment and our kind of present state of faith, and kind of where God might be calling us to go. So if we want to grow from this little baby to a toddler, and then eventually to a fully grown child, we need to be intentional about our relationship with God. And this kind of counteracts and goes along with deepening our faith and strengthening and enriching that as well. So this then brings us to the crossroads of how exactly does our faith grow? And how can we mature spiritually and grow into God's faithful disciples? Additionally, we need to learn how this can equip us and how it can reach out to others, those that are untouched or unchurched or don't know God at all. You see, this is my very own angle for this sermon. And so this is where we kind of want to go. And I went, with the slides last week to kind of not only help me, but to help you guys as well. But selfishly, maybe they're a little more helpful for me. But I have some more slides this week of kind of major points that I want to highlight in regards to baby traits and how we can view those with our spiritual journey and how we can view them as our equipping force going forward in life. But I want to say that every person here today is considered a child of God. Whether you're churched or unchurched, a regular attender and frequent attender, you are all equal and loved in God's eyes. So I just want to get that out of the way. And baby is not a derogatory term. I don't want you to see it as something negative. It's merely a starting point and reference point for how we begin in our faith. So going from there. So for starters, the first baby trait that we have is dramatic pause. There we go. With babies, we welcome them with open arms and do not judge them. So, having gone through this my third time now, this is our third baby, and we've seen her, and we know that people just love babies. People welcome babies, strangers, friends, whoever. They see a baby, they're like, oh, a baby. Can I hold it? Can I see it? Can I touch it? And also, for the record, if you ever ask to hold my child and my wife says no, don't get offended by that. She's just a mama bear. She loves protecting her baby children, so she might not let you. But babies, for the most part, are welcomed by anyone. And people see them, and they give them a free pass in this world. They're born without any assumptions or about anything or everything in life. So what they learn is kind of learned through self-exploration and what others might teach them. See, their minds are both innocent and malleable at the same time. So whenever they look at someone, they don't see race or class or shortcomings or failures. Instead, they see another human. They see hope, and they see someone equal to them. So this is kind of similar to how our faith works. We don't start out with an instant hatred towards King Solomon or Goliath for fighting David. We might not even know what those stories are or what they might mean. But that has to be learned from somewhere. And similarly, we don't begin with a spiritual journey with a certain understanding of why exactly Christ died for our sins. We don't learn that right away. We probably don't need to learn that first thing starting out. So as such, whenever we are to invite someone that we know to be unchurched or unlearned in regards to the Bible, we need to welcome them and not shun them, just like a baby. We need to extend our arms and welcome them in a loving embrace and say, I'm glad you have joined us. Welcome to our home. We hope you find it and enjoy this journey along with us. You see, most people I know are extremely eager to welcome babies. A friend, stranger alike. Whoever, you see a baby, it's welcome, right? They have no threat, no harm. So we need to make our hearts open, and in doing so, these babies can soften and open our own hearts as well. It kind of goes both ways. And similarly, we don't pass judgment on babies. At least I hope not. We don't ever look at a baby and think to ourselves that, oh, well, you need to be a little tanner there. This Florida sun's pretty intense. You need to start working on that. I'm not sure what you're doing there, baby. Or if they're not crawling fast enough, they need to crawl a little bit faster. Come on, speed it up. What are you doing? You need to pick up the pace here, child. So if they're not doing what we expect, that's fine. We don't judge them. We don't say, oh, they're not doing this, so they should be thrown out or put them on the streets. We don't blame them for not knowing something or understanding something in regards to their faith. Instead, we welcome them, we coddle them, we help them along the way, we teach them, perhaps repeatedly, what it means to be a Christian. We don't push them away and exclude them for not knowing as much as we might, or throw them out and say, hey, you're a baby, good luck on the streets, good to go. You know how to crawl, that's probably good enough. To see ya, hope life's well. So we take care of these babies. We welcome them, and we don't pass judgment on them. But granted, it may be trying and frustrating, and at the very least, we should be welcoming people. We should open our arms and accept every baby that walks through these doors. Now, this may require patience and understanding on our part, but it's what we must do when it comes to spiritual babies. List item number 2, slide 2, please. With babies, we prepare our homes so that they are safe and feel secure. Now, I remember when we had our first child, Raylan, you assume that a house is a pretty safe place, right? Until you start thinking of things that the babies can do or horror stories that you hear from other people. So you have to make your house a little safer and more secure for the baby. So for us, that entailed putting coverings on the electrical outlets so she wouldn't get an unexpected hairdo during the middle of the week. Or putting little cushions on the corners so she wouldn't crawl or run and fall and gouge her eye out or cut her head. So all these little things that you take for granted that you assume is just a safe place to be, once you begin to look at it and see it through a baby's eyes, it looks a little more intimidating and scary. So you begin to overlook things that might be jarring or off-putting, and kind of the same could be said for the space of a church. Now, just this past week, I read an article about a church in Washington, D.C. called the Church of the Pilgrims. And recently, there had a pastor that came on board maybe 10 years ago, and he asked the congregation, what's one thing that they would like to change? And 90% of them talked about changing worship. So what they kind of did is just tackle this as a group together and tweak some ways that things were done. So they made little areas and spaces, took out some chairs, and made an open space for children to come in and do some activities, coloring, drawing, some prayers that they could read, or something from church or God or Christ related. And then they took the table, the pulpit, and the baptismal font and put it all in the center. And they put chairs in a big kind of circle around so the people felt closer together as they would worship. It was a space that began to feel more safe and more secure, especially for those babies that were coming through the door. You see, once we're in a house for a while, we just take for granted that everything is safe. And I'm sure if you ask my wife, she would tell you that I'm the clumsiest person on the face of this planet and could never make anything quite as safe as it probably should be with me around. I'll still find a way to hurt myself. That's just me, though. But you can still do things to make it safe for babies. So what we kind of need to ask ourselves is, how do we make others feel secure and safe in God's house? Or what poses as a risk? Or what poses as a comfort to others? Or what have we maybe overlooked that could enhance the well-being and the security of a baby, or a baby to come and be here with us? The next slide. With babies, we feed them appropriate foods on their schedule. Meaning, as I was talking to the children, we don't start them off with cheeseburgers or steak and potatoes. Although I'm not quite sure. I think my mom probably fed me steak and potatoes when I was young, because I still really love it today. I just find it as a good comfort meal for me. So Paul even referenced this when he was talking to the people in Corinth. He said babies must start with a protein, a very liquid food in the form of milk. They can't be overloaded with certain food types, as their bodies are not quite ready to accept that form of food just yet. So the same can be said when it comes to God, and those that have not heard or know much about God in their own life. For instance, if I were to meet someone that I know has never heard the name Jesus Christ or knew who God was, I couldn't dive in right away and just tell them all the different atonement theories that come to Christ's crucifixion. I couldn't detail what anamnesis is or transubstantiation, and those words are big enough and hard enough for me to say. I don't think someone who never knew God could understand that quite yet. It's like giving someone a cheeseburger when they need a cup of milk. So we have to have something in those type of conversations that's more relatable, as if it was in fact a baby starting off with merely milk. It's mild and not prone to upset one's stomach too much, and it still provides nourishment at that stage in life. So a good example of this would kind of be creation. Someone that you know never knew God, you could say we were all created by God. God created this world and made it good. And God loved and still loves each and every one of us. So God's still here with us, helping us along the way. So as with many cases and instances, there's kind of this progression that's beneficiary to both the individual and the community as you kind of grow and learn in your faith. And as I mentioned, the Scouts, they have a good one too, for example. You start off as a Cub Scout, and you earn the Bobcat badge, then the Tiger badge, then the Wolf and Bear, then you move on to Webelos and eventually earn the Arrow of Light rank. And after that, they're certified ready to move on to Boy Scouts, which has a separate set of ranks, culminating with Eagle Scouts at the end. Is that right? That's good. Okay. I can do some things right. So personally, I was a member of the Scouts once. My mom taught in Claremont, so I was a member of a den up there, and we would drive and go there all the time. And I was a Webelos. I think I was about as far as I made it, and unfortunately had to move, so we left that pack or den, or whatever they were called. Packs, dens? Pack? Okay. So we left that, but I understood and appreciated the progression that they gave you in teaching things. Now, you could do a specific badge for certain things, or go off and learn what you felt suited for you, or what you wanted to learn about. So there was this very intentional way of progressing and learning and growing and doing. And we do the same thing in the church. We have a little preschool class with our great Deep Blue curriculum where we teach the little ones, and they learn and grow some foundational blocks in there. Then they go off to the older Sunday school classes, and then eventually to youth, and hopefully on to adult Sunday school classes after that, if their appetite is whetted and they're thirsty enough to continue to learn and want to learn some more. So it's just this lifelong learning and feeding people on appropriate schedules and with the right type of food. Now, if you're an adult and you've come here and you haven't had these children foundational classes, you're certainly welcome, and I encourage all the adult teachers to help those and teach them and give them the appropriate food so we can all be dining on cheeseburgers together, right? That's the goal. If you're a vegetarian, you can have a veggie burger, I guess we'll do that. Now, lastly, with babies, last slide. We care for them and nurture them and ensure that they receive what they need. So much like babies, it doesn't do any good to just feed them once and call it a day. Say, here's your breakfast. Up, you're good to go. Rest of the day. See you later. Hope that milk gets you through everything. Oh no, we have to continue to nurture them and ensure that they receive what they need. So this is kind of carried out in the greater collective church, and this is the driving force for many churches. You see, ones that want to reach out and care for others and continue to nourish their development and of the growth of their children can take place in many different ways. So here at TPC, we have Sunday school classes that I mentioned, where people can come and mature their faith and grow towards childhood, full childhood in God. And we have classes ranging from little preschoolers all the way up to adults. And when Lent begins, which is the time before Easter, I'll be doing a study on Adam Hamilton's new book, Creed, and I know some other people have been doing it, but it's good foundational blocks for learning about God. So all of this also kind of impacts how we live out a church. We can do mission trips, we can support local ministries, we can welcome scouts into our doors and our home. We can do all sorts of different things and donate to Hope Helps and help people in many different ways. And see, we should realize that no matter how deep our faith is, or how well-versed in the Bible we believe we are, or how spiritually rich we might feel, all of us are, in fact, children of God. Meaning nobody's really mastered this whole Christian thing, aside from maybe Jesus Christ, but I think that's a little unfair to compare ourselves to him. So I don't know if anyone ever will really fully mature into Christian adulthood. And granted, there are some people that are more versed in their theology and a scriptural understanding, but reaching that pinnacle is nigh impossible. So that's why we must continue to grow, no matter what we feel we might be doing. And we need to work on our relationship and work on our faith and work on our spiritual journey. See, there's always more that we can read. There's always more that we can pray and more to learn about in regards to God. So with that, we need to understand that all of us are at different stages in our own spiritual life and journey, which makes doing church a little tricky. But it helps for us to have a reminder that there are, in fact, babies among us. And maybe we even are a baby ourselves. Yet no matter where we are along that line of progress, we are all still considered precious, beloved children of God, no matter our age or how big or wide our faith is. Amen.